That's the thing. It shouldn't replace J-Bay. It should add to J-Bay.
Yeah.
Perfect right, perfect left. Welcome to the Insiders Autonauts, 21 of September. Me and my esteemed colleague, the English pasty, Matt the Killer Hayes in the country. We're at G, which is D in French for jour instead of day, +1 of the death of the greatest surf contest there usually ever was, and it's off the tour. Goodbye, Jeffreys Bay. What do you think about that one, Matthew?
I'm wearing black in mourning of.
I'm wearing black, and I didn't realise why I wanted to wear black today. That's why.
Yeah, it's a disgrace, basically. If we dive straight in, we regard Jeffreys Bay and the new WSL schedule that was released. For people who don't know, the 2024 season has been announced. They've dropped the Surf Ranch, which everyone should be happy about.
Yep, great move.
Although I actually didn't mind it this year because of the way that it showcased something different. Anyway, and they've also dropped Jeffreys Bay. They have brought back Fiji Cloudbreak, and they've had a reshuffle of things so that Chopes Tahiti is now not the last event before the finals. They've moved it up to May, which I'm not sure what that does for the swell season as such.
They've had some massive days in Mays. There was a video one time that was called Mays Days.
Well, maybe that might come good for them. And then they've reshuffled, and El Salvador's dropped back, and Brazil's also been pushed back a little bit, hasn't it? But the big news is that Jeffreys Bay is no longer on tour.
It's just stupid. Now, let me elaborate on this use of a very simple word, as in stupid.
Mm-hmm.
They were losing money on the event, apparently. Like, come on. Huh? Do you think the leading designers in the world design a cheap piece? They design a showpiece piece. That's a hard word. A showpiece piece. Huh? J-Bay was a showpiece wave. It doesn't matter if the individual event loses a bit of money. It's one of the best events in history. It's where the best shine. That's what you got to have on your tour. It doesn't matter. As a brand, as anything, if you take a hit on that, and what is it taking a hit? Apparently, what is it? 3 million to run an event. So do it cheaper.
Yeah. 100%.
Don't have a whole bunch of galahs in the fucking commentary booth that we don't need. Do it cheaper. Come off it.
Absolutely. Yeah, and do a better job. Like, they've just dropped it. Do a better job of trying to raise money. Like try and raise more funds. Do more. And yeah, it's just the thing for me is I've heard from a very reliable source that it also has been dropped because of the Olympics. But I think that
why? Because they were coinciding at the same time.
Yeah, or because where they've had to move things around, where they've had to move. Basically, they've moved Tahiti to earlier, and to fit the money makers into the season, they had to drop J-Bay. It's just pathetic, really.
Pathetic. I'd like to know Geordie's opinion on it, but Geordie doesn't make the tour. Huh? We can be as negative as we want, but basically, it's just that
But my
it's just the
question,
straw that broke the camel's L5 for me. The lumber five's been fractured.
I wanted to
Um,
ask you.
I, like everyone else, I know anyway. Like, and I know 3 or 4 hardcore surfers that had a dinner party instead of watching the Trestles final, and asked me about it the next day because they don't care
Mm,
anymore.
what I wanted to ask you though is, are we missing are we missing something a little bit that they have essentially they've replaced J-Bay with Cloudbreak, and is that almost as good a replacement?
Yeah. Cloudbreak's an incredible replacement, but that's the thing. It shouldn't replace J Bay. It should add to J Bay.
Yes.
Perfect right, perfect left. But they do have a lot of rights. I can understand when I'm looking at it. I'm just thinking, get rid of Sunset, get rid of Porter Ruka, get rid of Bells, get rid of Margaret's, get rid of any of them ones, but don't get rid of J Bay. It's just too good a wave. It's just a pity for the world surfing, basically. And maybe it's good for the J Bay locals. I'm trying to think of the good points about it. Maybe it's good because less people will care about the WSL and we'll just get back to what we used to do with surfing. But it's just a big blow in the guts for people that like watching the best surfers in the best waves. And having the excuse is money.
Mm,
Money.
yeah, I
Not
agree.
making money. So
So
instead of
talk,
being a incredible sport, a life-changing culture, it's money.
yeah, and then talking about money probably leads to the, I don't know if it's worse news or not, that Trestles is back for finals day again.
It's just something we don't like. Let's not even talk about that. Let's pretend there is no final five next year until the final day when it's on. And we're just going to do like 24 podcasts thinking that the world tour was the highest points person at the
Yeah,
end of Fiji. And that's the Insiders World Champion. And then we'll call it the Insiders Cup.
and then everyone will want it.
There you go. We'll call
I
it the
like it.
Insiders Cup.
I do like
Insiders.
it.
Oh, one another thing I wanted to bring up was, and not because it's separate to the idea of I can't stand watching a final for surfing, world surfing being at Trestles, is the other theory from people, oh, Toledo's going to be champion for the next 10 years. And yeah, it's not his fault they picked it. And if people can't beat him, they can't beat him. He's
Mm,
world champ.
yeah,
Maybe it fell into his cards, whatever. Now, with Chopu and Cloudbreak being on that second half of the thing, I don't think Toledo can consistently be world champ if he doesn't finish the calendar year in number one spot.
I
I don't
agree.
think he necessarily win from fourth. I think if he had to come from third and Ethan had been in the final, Ethan would have beat him. The wow
Hmm.
factor from turns, the judges would have maybe not would have beat him, but it would have been a lot closer.
Yeah,
So get into that back half of the tour, win Cloudbreak and win Chopes. We've got another left on tour, which is what we wanted. And it's on a reef. There's 2 good reefs.
yeah, I agree. And I also think people have been very quick to forget that Gabby beat him at Trestles, at pretty good Trestles.
Maybe, maybe John could have in those sort of waves.
Yeah,
John
people.
goes big, man. Well, I
Yeah,
mean, don't think he will. I don't know if he needs to. I don't know if John winning Trestles increases his brand status in the world or his surfing popularity or his surfing pedigree.
I agree.
I think he's like Kelly nearly now, John above it. Same with Gabrielle. They could both quit the tour, them two, and I don't know if it would affect them.
if anything, I think it could be a positive, especially for John. I think he could. I don't think he'd lose a penny, really. And I think
Imagine, like, he's not as, like, maybe necessarily at ease with the camera on a YouTube in your face thing, but he's got such a good filmer and production team behind him that I think a YouTube series of him breaking down wars on the best waves around the world would easily be more watchable than it. The only thing is, it is incredibly addictive to watch. Like, anyone can do anything over a week without the lycra on, which is why it's so addictive watching surf comps to see how people can manage that 30 minutes.
yeah, oh for sure. Um, the the question, I guess, is, and because I agree, is it that addictive for John to be in it as well? Is that why they continue? Is that why Kelly continues? Is that why
No,
Geordie's still?
I don't think so. But
No.
maybe he wouldn't have come back all these other times after those knee injuries if he didn't want to have a crack at it. Like, I think he can. I think he can be in first position at the end of this tour. If you look at it, I mean, they've lost J-Bay, which is a devastation, but there's still some great waves on there. Sunset. Like, if John won Pipe, Cloudbreak, and Chopu, which you would agree, if all of them fired, he's got a real good crack at it.
Yeah.
They can relegate Toledo to fourth or fifth.
Yeah.
Hypothetically, he could also not be in the top five.
Well,
Strange as it might seem, like Sunset 10 foot, he surfs good at Sunset. But he's no shoe in to win Sunset, man. Not against Jack and those dudes. And then, like, Bells, if it's really good Bells, there's a bunch of dudes, Margies. I mean, that's what I meant before. If you want to beat him, you got to beat him in the season, not try and wait till Trestles and have a crack at him in his number one spot.
I agree. If I'd have said to you in, say, this time last year that John, Gabby, and Philippe would do every event and two of the three don't make the top five, I think that Felipe would be the first person you would say doesn't make it over John and Gabby. Yet this year, John and Gabby didn't make the top five.
Yeah, they underperformed massively.
So for someone to now say to me next year Felipe won't make the top five, I don't think that's out of the realms of possibility. Because if John and Gabby fire, and if we have the exact opposite of what happened this year, where every event cooks, like cooking Pipe, cooking Sunset, big Portugal, big Margaret River, even big Bells and stuff, Felipe, like the odds and the stat, he could easily not make the top five.
Yes. What happens if he comes up against Jacob Wilcox at 10-foot Pipe in the first event in round in 3? Like, Jacob Wilcox, low seed, even Cole Hulshman, but more say Jacob Wilcox, Pipe, lefts, West Swell or whatever it is for like, I'd put my house on Jacob Wilcox beating him.
Me too.
Like, no, I wouldn't put my house, but I'd put on a new pair of shoes.
Or like, who would be the wild card as well? You know, what if?
How?
Yeah, like, what about if they call up someone really good for the wild card as well? Like,
yeah, I'm not backing wild cards. Like, they just don't have the competitive nous. But I guess at Pipe, any wild card can be
dangerous.
Hippo.
Get Balaram Stack out there, he'd cook it.
Hippo.
Yeah.
And what does it mean? Women's side of things there. Who won? J-Bay Lakey.
No.
It's just
oh yeah, sure, yeah.
It's a pity because they underperformed at J-Bay as well, I thought, the women. They needed a bit more of a crack at it.
They got put out in the worst conditions. But yeah, because Caroline surfed really good on the good day.
I mean, Puerto
Punta Roca.
Rico, Punta Rica. I reckon Toledo's favourite. What other event are you calling him as? And Brazil. It's not necessarily.
Yeah, I'd say that. I'd agree. I'd say that El Salvador and Brazil is probably where he's favourite, and then
But is he favourite in Brazil? Because so's Gab.
yeah, Philippe did.
I mean, he's one of the favourites, but
yeah,
he's not like an odds-on favourite, man. Like he's still got Pipe, Margie's. What happened to John at Margie's?
he lost in the final this year, didn't he?
John
Yeah,
against who?
or semis. Who did he lose to? He lost in the semis to Jack Robinson.
No, Jack didn't surf Margie's.
No,
That's
no,
how
yeah.
memorable
That's
this
last
year is.
year. Because
Jack
Gabby
was
won
injured. Jack
Gab-
was injured. Gabby won it. Like
Gabby
there
won
you
it.
go.
John maybe semied. Maybe because he beat Griffin.
What else is there? There's not that many.
Well, Portugal.
The same five from the start. Sunset, Pipe, Portugal at the wrong time of year. You're backing there. He's got a good chance. Who cares? I'm just calling that I don't think he's going to be world champ next year.
Nah, same. Moving on from that talk to something extremely good and extremely positive. Lobby's new film,
Oh,
Cheese and Rice.
Liam O'Brien, not to be mixed up with Jamie O'Brien or Brian O'Malley or anyone else. What's the name of his? What is it called?
Wandering.
He's a godforsaken. I think, and I've had anonymous viewers concur with me. I think the editing of this film was exceptional in the way that it showed how many gnarly non-makes he had.
Yeah, that's something that I really liked about it is you got to see because the way he comes across, like obviously we've spoken to him, we've had him on a poddy, and you watch him in interviews and stuff. He obviously seems quite sensible and stuff, but you see him, he just goes nuts. He sends it so bad as well. Like he fully loves a big wave.
He reminds me now of Alex Honnold, the free soloing guru who will climb up 1,000-meter rock face without a rope, because he's incredibly intelligent and calculated, this Alex Honnold, and what you would think of Liam. But obviously the minute he hits the water, he's just like I would have voted that as like edit of the year for this year already.
Yeah, I've watched,
because not only his charging is incredible, his precision, like how a lot of people, the detractors, we will say, from Ethan, who's the greatest frontside surfer we've ever seen, that he can be repetitive and maybe too precise instead of a little bit more on edge, where Felipe gets the nod from the judges at least. Liam seems to have that incredible precise way, but still has a bit of flair in it, and frontside and backside.
I'm going to say something that I don't know if you'll like it or not, but I'm going to say it anyway, is that after watching this, it made me think that Ethan is like Mick and Liam O'Brien is like Joel, like back in the day. Because I used to watch Joel and he's got more, I felt like he had more like kind of like effortless style, and Mick was quicker but had unreal technique. I feel similar about and I think Ethan's style is unbelievable. Like his surfing is beautiful, But there was something about Liam O'Brien surfing that I preferred to watch, and I used to feel exactly the same about Joel and Mick.
It depends. Joe, I think Ethan's got more power than Liam, but I think Ethan's got more power square meter cubic of water moving than anyone. But he's an incredible surfer, Liam. Like you see, he's very good in the air and everything. I think he was really underrated this year. And I think he slammed Kelly, unfortunately, at Margie's. And I think he got underscored. Who's he? He got undercooked against someone at J Bay. I watched the heat too. I
Mm,
thought he got underscored, which a lot of them tend to get underscored in their first season or two. It'll be super interesting to see how he goes in this year, because even with he was really good at J Bay, but I got a feeling he'll be really good at Cloudbreak too, like really good.
yeah. But so his edit though, that everyone should go watch it. Fingers crossed. We've had a little. I know you've had a little chat with him. We're going to try and get him back on to discuss it more, so we won't spend too much time on it. But it's on Stab. I think it's pretty. I think it's on their free thing as well, so you don't have to be premium. Um, Wandering by Liam O'Brien.
We'll get him on within the next week. I'm going to ping him every day, hopefully. It's more, I think he's got more free time than me. But we'll try and get him on, obviously, his night. So we'll try and it'll be unreal to hear what he thought about his first full year on the tour as well. And what
Yeah,
he thinks, for sure, he's gutted to not have J Bay on there. I mean, he's from the Gold Coast, which is right-hand points. But I'm sure they're also stoked to have Cloudbreak on there.
mm,
And briefly, while we were talking about that, you mentioned Parko, so I'll move this straight along. Did you see the Maldives Four Seasons human rights catastrophe country for the world, basically, but one of the great surf comps
yes,
where Parko won all three divisions,
all
single fin,
four,
twin fin, and single fin,
all four
and overall.
divisions. Yeah,
Yeah, what's the fourth division just overall?
yeah. I think it was. I think there was.
Like
Yeah,
talking about talent, like he's just like he's got to be well, we all know he's one of the most talented surfers in history, and that's just like goes in like Adrian D'Souza. I saw him surf here when he was 17, and people kind of slagged him off later on in his career. But I'm telling you, the guy was just rocket fuel and a world champion. The Coco and Mason Ho, they weren't like dud surfers, and he just and Connor Coffin,
yeah,
and he just made mince mean of him on anything. He can surf anything.
yeah. And it was quite interesting because he's so laid back. But I listened to an interview afterwards, and he was like, that was the first time he'd surfed a thruster in like a year because he's just been surfing twenties constantly as well, which is funny. Like he said he thought that Adriano was just going to walk the thruster thing, and then he just like paddled out on his thruster, and first time he'd surf one in a year and still smoked everyone.
It was that Parko he hadn't surfed one in a
Yeah,
year.
yeah,
Imagine. And
yeah.
talking about Cloudbreak, he was one of my favorite ever surfers of Cloudbreak as well.
Mm.
After obviously Kelly. But like he used to just go there with Mick, and he used to just go there on fishing trips.
My
He
favorite
literally
surfer.
he's just lived the life of Riley, and truthfully retired from surfing at a fantastic moment.
Yeah, completely. And talking about someone who's retired from surfing and Cloudbreak and wildcards, if Owen Wright doesn't get the wildcard to Cloudbreak, we've got to start a full petition because he is the best surfer I've seen surf out there.
Who's that?
Owen Wright.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I was just busy being one of those rude people that look at their phone during the conversation. The people like I think you should slap someone. I bet that's all right. I'll slap you. Maybe you looked at your phone.
I didn't, but
Yeah. Owen Wright, 210s, flawless style, power carves on speed sections that most people just fell off. Geez, Owen Wright was one of the best surfers ever to win and not win a world title, wasn't he?
Yeah, for sure. But
Hey, I tell you, another great surfer was Jeremy Flores, who retired and just got like the most smoke and barrel you can ever imagine yesterday morning at La Graviere. And Leo Fioraventi, who owned the spot just about.
yeah,
Did you watch any of that, Matt?
yes. So I've seen some clips. Like,
Yeah, but did you watch any live?
yeah. So funnily enough, it was Emily's birthday yesterday, and
That is
we
pretty funny.
is and we went to go and get food, and it turns out everywhere was shut on a Wednesday night, which is just weird, but French. And as I was driving past Le Gravier, pulled into a parking spot, and the three boys staying with you said George Peter, Alistair Reginato, and Joe Vaughan were walking up. George had his board in half, snapped, and he just said, like, it's firing, Leo's on fire down there and stuff. Walked down, and he was right. Leo was on every single good wave, getting like, and it's so sick to watch because it's so close to the beach. I didn't see
Pretty
him.
good spot to watch, isn't it? How gnarly is it, too?
Yeah, there's
People
a
don't realize how gnarly it is.
there's a sick clip of Mikey Febb getting a good barrel.
Yeah, he got a few good barrels,
I
didn't he?
didn't see that in person, but the other guy who I did see in person, who I thought was as good as Leo, was William Erlotti,
Oh, he's very good.
on
I
his
didn't see any
Lovelace.
clips of him. The dude doesn't like him, I think.
Oh, really? He got some
Lefts or rights?
lefts.
Probably on a 20 too.
He was on a 20. He was on a
Yeah.
Lovelace. Ryan Lovelace. I was actually because I've had a Lovelace before and stuff, and kind of had conversations with Ryan, and I sent him a bad iPhone picture of one of the Williams, or clip of one of Williams' waves, and said he's ripping, and then he replied to me and said, yeah, he sent me some clips, and he was on a 20.
Oh, he's one of the best barrel riders here, man. William absolutely charges the house down. He
Yeah.
was like, for a few years, the man out at the Guardian at 8 to 10 foot paddling, most of the time by himself, where other dudes are out there on jet skis.
Oh,
He
really?
knows.
Yeah.
I would have liked to have. I didn't even have time to come and watch. You know,
Well,
spouse away, children at school, all that sort of thing.
and talk about Jeremy Flores. So looking at the waves and the people coming for his event, which he's announced next week, Clay Marzo's in town.
I heard.
Shane Dorian, Jackson Dorian, Josh Kerr, Sierra Kerr, Adriano de Souza,
Noah Dean, I read.
Noah
I don't know if
Dean,
he's here.
Dane Reynolds is here. Dane Reynolds isn't in the comp, but Dane Reynolds is in town.
Yeah, I heard that too.
I don't know if you could tell that I'm starting to freak the fuck out.
I hope they're not. I hope they don't. I hope they can't use Lenore as their comp site. They're putting their comp site at Kunu. I hope they're not mobile.
They said they're not going to make the. They said Kunu's the most likely one, but he's making the call like on the days and stuff. But they've also announced it. It's quite cool that they're doing a twin fin. Like, you got a score in these four divisions. I think one's a twin fin, one's airs, one's barrels, and one's major maneuvers.
Good luck for them on a 20 if they try running next Tuesday, Wednesday. It's just next Tuesday. At the moment, it's like 2.2 to 3 meters at 12 seconds. Like, man, fuck, we're just going to surf Lenore anyway. Hopefully there's not a run in.
I reckon they'll run it before then. Sunday and Monday look really,
Yeah, Sunday.
really
But how many days do they need?
I don't know. There's only 20 of them, so maybe even one day.
No way.
The way that they're not doing it a heat.
No. I think they're looking at 3 or 4 days. I hope. Hopefully they just run Sunday, Monday.
Yeah.
And then Thursday. As long as they don't run Tuesday, Wednesday. That's all.
I don't
They
think they'll
won't be
go
able to
to.
ride a 20. They won't be able to ride a 20 at 2.3 at 14, 13, 14 seconds. Anyway,
No.
I don't think.
Yeah. Who knows?
Mason Home might be able to,
Mason Ho's not in town. Michael February might be able to.
but they wouldn't need to because I think there's good enough forecast later on in the week, and the weather's good all week.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a sick event. I'm going to try and spend a lot of time on the beach following them. Because if it is 3 meters, then I am not in the sea.
Well, you've got your work cut out on your editing this podcast anyway, Matt, with our technology problems and everything. But at least, and I'm going to apologize to the viewers, I've got my microphone this one because the Trestles review was shocking because I was too lazy to come into the garage, and I apologize that, and which is going to quickly bring me into my do and don't. And I did say I was never going to get political, and I've tried to base my life around apathy, which is just the reason for that, Matt. If I never told you, was I just got a feeling that it's better to enjoy your own existence without the pressure of anyone else's. But there's a big referendum coming up in Australia in the middle of October to give the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders a special council so that they can voice and direct opinions or ideas to the Australian government, which basically just means let's put it in layman's terms. You've got a bunch of basketball kids that have been in a neighborhood for 10 years and they want to build a basketball court in that neighborhood. Would you not ask the basketball kids where they want their basketball court and what would be good to go with it? And that's really low level, what I'm trying to say there.
Yeah.
These people have been on the Australian continent for over 40,000 years. Now, me and you, with our English blood, the colonization of Australia happened in 1788. It's not even 240 years. And so far, we haven't been able to manage them so they have a decent life expectancy compared to the rest of us. And as surfers, like you're a surfer, and we always hear about surfers everywhere in the world, show respect to the locals. They didn't get much respect showed from them. And here's a little way giving them no real power to take back their land or anything. It is their land. I just think there's no way you couldn't vote yes as a sign of what's good for humanity. So that's what I want to say on that. Do vote yes, don't vote no.
Okay.
If you're in Australia.
I like it. I have 0 faith in any kind of voting or referendum on what should be common sense because of the morons who voted for Brexit. But I hope and pray that Australians have more sense than dickheads in England, and that they do follow your words of advice and vote yes. So we'll go with that.
I don't want to be defeatist, but I don't know how they can beat the right wing and the media powers that just pump out a whole lot of fake news on what and why they want it, which is what happened to you guys in Brexit.
Yeah.
Correct?
100%.
People didn't know what was actually going to happen until after it happened and then go, oh, gee.
They drove around with a big bus that said that they'd get £664 million a year back from what we don't give to the NHS, which we don't give to Europe anymore. The morning after Brexit, they said, is that correct? And the guy on national TV went, no. just laughed about it. Horseshit. England, but it should never have got to that point. The people who are influenced by that shouldn't be trusted to vote things anyway, because, well, this is why. Anywho, that's a strong do or don't. I'm not even going to give one because I I'll just double up on yours for the Australian people.
It's just something. It's just something. Another thing that I've noticed, Matt. And at one stage, and I had a run in with someone close to me. At one stage, you can't just not say anything, or people will continue to send out hate. And all we want is love. So
That's it.
hopefully you get to watch the surf on Sunday because it's going to be cooking.
Yeah, you should come down too.
I'll be down there, mate. Don't you
I'm gonna
worry.
be
I'm
trying.
not going to watch, so I'm going to be practicing the sport.
I'm going to try and hunt down pros to interview them with some questions from the
Oh,
inside as
great.
well.
Great. Okay.
Au revoir, people.
Au revoir.